Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. My name's Ron Tyler. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. Today is Captain's Log, Stardate 7/2/2025. 7/2/2025. We want to welcome everybody who has joined us here on the Emergency Management Associates Network today. We appreciate you all being here. I need to do a little bit of housekeeping at the very first part of our program today. I would ask that everybody here please stick around for the entire program. If you don't stick around for the entire program, you're not going to get anything out of it. First, we're going to talk about earthquakes around the world and also here in the United States along the New Madrid Fault and on the East Coast as well. There's a lot of information here to share with you. I would hope that you guys would stick around for it. Second, please give us a thumbs up. This is also important. Why is it important? I'm going to explain this. Guys, if you give us a thumbs up, this will allow Google, YouTube to get an idea that, hey, this program is enjoyed, that they ought to let other people see this program. We ask you to do that, guys, for our benefit and also for the benefit of the general public. So please give us a thumbs up if you like what we're doing. Third, we want you to also subscribe this program. And when you subscribe, you also need to hit that little bell icon. Right next to the subscription button, there's a little bell icon. When you hit that little bell icon, you'll see a drop-down menu of 3 items come up. When you see those items come up, click on the word ALL, all. That should get you notified when we come on the air. But be advised, YouTube continues to unsubscribe people. So I would also ask you to make sure when you subscribe, you stay subscribed. Continue to check your subscriptions to make sure YouTube is not unsubscribe you. They get a kick out of it, I think. I truly think they get a kick out of it. They unsubscribe people will. Okay? So please, guys, check your subscriptions and make sure you're still subscribed to our program. Again, if you're not, please resubscribe and then click on that notification bell. That's very much appreciated for everybody here. Okay? Now, I would ask you all to see if you have any questions about anything we've talked about earlier this week and also last week. Do you have any questions? Al Newton says, hello from the Cascadia region, Portland. Yes, we talked about the Cascadia region, and yes, you do have some earthquakes there, and we're going to recognize those earthquakes as well. I want to thank everybody that's here. Heidi Petrick is here. One of our longest subscribing people is Heidi Petrick. We appreciate Heidi very much. We also have Sleeping Volcano here. Bailey's here. Alan Newton's here. Darcy's here. Darcy Tarnoff is here. Welcome, Darcy. We appreciate you. Richard Smith from Nova Scotia, Canada is here. Lloyd Centerfit is here. Welcome, Lloyd. We appreciate you being here. Sergeant Johnson is here. Now, we only have a handful of people here, it looks like, at least in the chat. Kathy Marshall's here. We appreciate you being here from New York, New Jersey, New York. From New York, welcome. Appreciate you being here. Guys, please know that we're here. We primarily have this channel as an access for everybody to be able to get emergency and disaster information. We talk about emergencies and disasters for a reason. That's because everybody needs to know what's going on in their areas, where they live, in their region. If you don't know what's going on, please, folks, call your emergency manager in your particular town or city. If there is no emergency manager, you can contact your police chief or your fire chief. They should be able to answer any questions you have about your particular area, about any emergencies or disasters that you might face. That's important. That's important. Second, once you know the kinds of emergencies and disasters going to happen in your area, what else do you need to do? You need to write a plan. You need to write an emergency preparedness plan. That way, you have a plan to follow when an emergency or a disaster comes upon you. And yes, they're going to happen. They're going to happen. Follow your plan. That way, when the emergency happens, you're not running around like a chicken with its head cut off. You're going to know what to do, when to do it, and also be able to pull those things out of your home if you have to evacuate, to pull those things out of your home that you prepared to take with you. Write those things down. Write those things down. During this program in the past 6.5 years, we've been on the air. Yes, we're approaching 6.5 years of being on the air. We've talked about emergency preparedness. We've talked about disasters. We've talked about emergencies that have happened. We've talked about emergency preparedness planning. We've talked about emergency preparedness kits. We talked about how to prepare for any kind of emergency that is going to happen. You can go through our past programs where it says emergency. You can go back and look at those individual programs. Those are usually held on Fridays. This Friday, we're going to talk about emergency preparedness again. There's a lot of things we're talking about. This Friday, I'm going to continue my presentation about electromagnetic pulses, EMPs. Both non-grid down and grid down EMPs. Everybody needs to know about it. Okay? We haven't had a grid down EMP since 1886. That's likely to happen again for a lot of different reasons. We'll talk about that on Friday. But today, again, we're going to talk about worldwide earthquakes. We're going to talk about earthquakes on the New Madrid Fault and also earthquakes over on the East Coast. There's a lot to talk about. Let's get into it. Let me pull up the USGS map for starters here. Okay? The USGS does not always tell us exactly what's going on. I'm going to be quite upfront about that. They don't always tell us anything. Okay? They're quite frankly one of the worst organizations in the world when it comes to reporting earthquakes, and yet that is their primary responsibility. Let's start here in the United States. Last night, over here off the coast of Bannon, Oregon, we had a 3.8 earthquake, a small 3.8 earthquake over here on the Blanco fracture zone. Yes, they call this perpendicular fault here coming from the southeast near the coast, not that far from the coast, about 300 miles west of the coastline of Oregon, going all the way out here into the Pacific, northwestern Pacific. Folks, that is the Blanco fracture zone here. This is the Blanco fracture zone. Okay? It's part of the Juan de Fuca fault, also part of the Gorda Escarpment and the Gorda Ridge. The Gorda Escarpment, okay? The Gorda Escarpment is this line of earthquake fault running east and west away from the California coast here. That's called the Gorda Escarpment. Down here today, in red, we've had 3 earthquakes. This earthquake right here that I've just highlighted in blue just happened just a short time ago. This happened at 1641 hours, 4:41 p.m. Eastern Time, on the northern part of the San Andreas Fault. The northern part of the San Andreas Fault. This is a 2.2 earthquake. A 2.2 earthquake. This earthquake here just south of the San Andreas Fault here is a 2.0, minor 2.0. This happened just, I want to say, nearly an hour ago, 50 minutes ago, 4 p.m., 50 minutes ago. This was again a 2.0 minor earthquake. This other earthquake in yellowish brown here, That happened really earlier this morning. This happened at 8:17 a.m. this morning, Eastern Time. This also is a 2.3 earthquake. This is just north of the San Andreas Fault off the coast of Petrolia, California. This is the southern region of the Cascadia Megathrust Earthquake Fault. The southern region of the Cascadia Fault Zone. This northern fault zone that you see here on your screen. This northern fault zone that you see on your screen, folks, is the Cascadia Subduction Zone. The Cascadia Subduction Zone. Let me take my banner off and let's take our webcam off. Now you can see more clearly here. 3 earthquakes down in the southern part, the Cascadia Subduction Zone, and this northern earthquake fault here is called the Cascadia Subduction Zone. It runs from northern California all the way north up here through and across the west side of Oregon, Washington, Vancouver Island, running all the way up here to Queen Charlotte Island or Haida Gwaii, British Columbia. Right up here, the Cascadia Subduction Zone. Also here, you see the Juan de Fuca Fault off to the west. It's a zigzag fault line that connects down here with what else? What else? The Blanco Fracture Zone, where we have that earthquake happened earlier. Okay? The Blanco Fracture Zone here. Right there. Then the Blanco Fracture Zone connects over here to the southeastern part of the Blanco, connects with the Gorda Ridge. The Gorda Ridge goes southwest into the ocean over here and connects with the Gorda Escarpment. And the Gorda Escarpment runs over here towards the coast of Northern California, where we have these 3 earthquakes today. Okay? So why am I telling you this? Because, folks, the Cascadia Subduction Zone is alive and well. The Cascadia Subduction Zone is alive and well. Yes, we have some other earthquakes here. For example, this earthquake off to the northeast. This is Willow Creek, California. This is a 2.5 minor earthquake. Up north, right here, Castle Rock, Washington. This is a 1.0 tremor here. Right here. This is Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier. On the map, USGS could not even label it as a Mount Rainier volcano. Why? Because they don't want to associate this earthquake with the volcano. Yet, if you zoom in, you can plainly see that it is associated with Mount Rainier. This is a 1.3 tremor. It's also a quarter of a mile deep. A quarter of a mile deep inside the volcano. Okay? That's like 1,600 feet down inside the volcano. 1.3 tremor. But what they have not told us is there are dozens of tremors. There are dozens of microquakes here. There are dozens of minor earthquakes. And there's another 1 or 2, 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes here at Mount Rainier today. This happens every day. But again, they don't want to tell you what's going on. Why? Because they don't want to admit that this volcano is going to erupt. This volcano is going to erupt. It might not be imminent today or tomorrow, but it is getting ready to erupt. That's a plain truth. But they will never tell you that. They're not going to tell you about it until it's too late. And by that time, it will probably already have erupted. Down here to the south, this is Mount St. Helens. They've not put any earthquakes here at Mount St. Helens. This is a fallacy. It's an out-and-out lie. It's an out-and-out lie. Yes, USBS lies. I call it like I see it. The United States Geological Survey is BS. If they omit data, that's an omission. It's a lie. It's an absolute lie. Okay? And yet that's exactly what they're doing here at Mount St. Helens. There are dozens of microquakes. There are dozens of minor earthquakes. There are dozens of minor tremors here. There's also at least 2 or 3 3.0 large earthquakes here today at Mount St. Helens. But again, they're not going to tell you that. Heaven forbid they tell the public, because Mount St. Helens is also gearing up to erupt. We've been talking about this for weeks now, ever since a report came out, not from the USGS, but from other agencies, stating the imminence of this eruption. Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens are getting ready to erupt. Now, there is one earthquake out here to the west of Mount St. Helens. This is a 1.1 tremor here. Castle Rock, Washington. Castle Rock, Washington. Why are they not showing any other tremors or earthquakes here? Because again, they don't want to admit that anything is happening. Yet it is. If any of you live around any of these volcanoes, you see them steaming on a daily basis, meaning steam/smoke coming from the volcano. Also down here to the South Mount Hood, the same thing's going on at this volcano as well as Newberry, Bachelor Volcano, Three Sisters Volcano, and Crater Lake. All of these volcanoes are steaming. But three of these volcanoes, Mount St. Helens, Mount Rainier, and also to some extent Mount Hood, are getting ready to erupt. Okay? Getting ready to erupt. What happened in 1980? What happened in 1980? March 1980. Mount St. Helens blew its stack. Mount St. Helens blew its stack. But 2 weeks before it did that, 2 weeks before Mount St. Helens blew its stack, there were a lot of earthquakes. At that point in time, USGS issued a warning that people ought to evacuate around Mount St. Helens, and evacuate they did. But then things calmed down a little bit. Then Mount St. Helens, the USGS, the National Forest Service, and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network said, we think it might be safe to go back to Mount St. Helens. Notice what I said. They said they think it might be safe. So they allowed people to go back. Yes, people lived on Mount St. Helens, and they're living there again today. Most of their homes and even their mobile homes that they had on property on the side of Mount St. Helens were destroyed by the blast. Because 2 weeks after they came back, all of a sudden the mountain blew up. Mountain blew up. I shouldn't say 2 weeks after they came back, but 2 weeks from the time that USGS had originally said you need to evacuate. That's when the mountain blew. Now, I don't want to create hysteria. I don't want people to be scared, but I am honest enough, I am forthright enough to say what is going to happen. We have history as a predecessor to saying what is going on. We know it's going to happen. We need to take preparedness actions to protect ourselves and our families. We don't recognize what's going on. We can never be able to protect ourselves. That's honest to gosh truth. If we want to protect ourselves, then we need to pay attention to what is happening. We need to protect ourselves. We need to pay attention to what is going on. Okay? That's plain and simple. That's really plain and simple. But folks, Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens are getting ready to go. and they can go at any time. Notice a few minutes ago, we had another 2.0 earthquake that occurred right there. They took it down and they put it back up. This is a 1.7 tremor here, 10 kilometers south of Toledo, Washington. 10 kilometers south of Toledo, Washington. Just happened, just moments ago. Now, guys, this happens. We have earthquakes and tremors here all the time. But we need to be noticeable, be cognizant of what's going on. We need to be cognizant of what's going on. Linda Covington, you had your chat removed because you used all capitals. Please don't do that. When YouTube sees all capital letters in a message, they look at it as you're yelling. I know you weren't yelling, but that's how YouTube looks at it. So please be careful. YouTube has been known to put their YouTube moderators up and they remove people from our chat. YouTube has actually had their moderators here on this chat before. It's been a while, but they've had them here. They've actually removed people from our chat. So please be careful. Please be careful. We love Linda Covington here. She's a great asset to our channel. She's a great friend of mine. We appreciate each and every one of you here. Christina's here. Thank you for being here, Chris. Appreciate you. We also have our friend Sleeping Volcano here. She had surgery last weekend. She's apparently feeling a lot better. She's still here again with us today. Sleeping Volcano, we love you. Please know that. Please know that you're welcome here anytime. Okay? That's what's happening here in the Pacific Northwest. Just briefly. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because we're going to be talking about the Pacific Northwest tomorrow. Let's go up here to Alaska. Over here in the Gulf of Alaska, we have a 2.7 minor earthquake here. Not a big deal. It's just south of the Aleutian Island Fault here in the Gulf. Notice we have earthquakes over here in southern Alaska. Even one that just happened here just moments ago. This is Sweetna, Alaska. Sweetna, Alaska. 1.3 tremor here. A lot of these are tremors. A lot of these earthquakes are tremors. We go up north here. Okay? This is near central Alaska. This is a 2.0 earthquake. 86 kilometers north-northwest Lake Minchumina. 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 Lake Minchumina. 2.0 earthquake here. We go north, just south of the Arctic Circle here. This is a 1.8 tremor here. 1.8 tremor just east of Kobuk, Alaska. Just east of Kobuk, Alaska. Kobuk, Alaska, for those of you that have not been with this program for the last 6.5 years, 6 years ago, we had a 7.2 earthquake here in Kobuk, Alaska. So this 1.8 tremor may very well be still an aftershock of that earthquake. An aftershock of that earthquake. Okay? Up here in this grayish white area, this is the Arctic Circle. We go up here to the Arctic Circle right here, we have another earthquake. This is the 1.3 tremor. This is northwest of Arctic Village, Alaska. Northwest of Arctic Village, Alaska, up here in the Arctic Circle. The tundra of Alaska. Okay? I want to spend just about a minute over here in Denali National Park. This is a 1.1 tremor here. This is southwest of Mount McKinley. USGS has this as north of Petersville, Alaska. It's not. You can clearly see it. It is in Denali National Park. This is again what USGS does. They mislabel locations of earthquakes. They don't want to tell anybody exactly what's going on. They lie, they cheat, to steal. That's what USGS does. I told President Trump, I've also told Elon Musk before he left Washington, D.C., that they needed to investigate and go into USGS and find out what they're actually doing. Because they are here being told by politicians to not be honest with the public. Why do the politicians not want USGS to be honest with the public? It goes to say that the politicians want everybody to think everything is copacetic, that nothing's going on. There are no real big earthquakes going to happen. But the politicians are lying to USGS, telling them not to be honest with the public. The politicians are lying to their constituents not to be honest with us. Why? Because if the people, the constituents of the politicians, knew exactly what's going to happen, they'd move away. They would not stay around. That's why the politicians don't want USGS to be telling anybody what exactly is going on. They don't want anybody to know. Yes, Mount St. Helens is getting ready to up. Mount Rainier is also getting ready to up. Guys, what's going on over there? Just for kicks and giggles, let's go back here again. Around Mount Rainier, we have millions of people that live here. Millions of people that live on old lava fields. Old lava fields. Sale Tacoma area, built on an old lava field. Areas around Mount St. Helens, the same thing. Homes and businesses, families have been raised on old volcanic fields. These volcanoes are getting ready to erupt again. They're going to take away homes. They're going to take away businesses. They will injure and make people go on alive. Politicians don't want that. They want people to vote for them. If people move away from these population centers, then what happens to the politicians? They go away as well. Because the population goes away, who's going to keep the lights on in the cities and towns and in the counties? Who's going to repair the highways or roads? Nobody. That's why the politicians want USGS to keep quiet. Okay? If the population goes away, nobody's going to vote for the politicians, and they're going to be out of work. That's why. That's why. Okay? I've talked about this for a very long time. I've been talking about this for a very, very long time. Linda Covington is asking about the Japanese swarm of earthquakes. Let's go and take a look at the earthquakes in Japan. Okay? I was going to get to it in a few minutes anyway. Let's go over there and take a look. Okay? What's going on here south of Japan? For over a week now, we've been having earthquakes here. For over a week now, we've been having not just earthquakes, but large earthquakes. Large swarms of earthquakes like you see here. Folks, these are fives. 5.1, 5.2, 5.0, 5.3 earthquakes. This earthquake I have highlighted here is a 5.2 large earthquake. This is a 5.2 large earthquake. This is a 5.0. This is a 5.3. This is a 5.0. This is a 5.2. This is a 4.5 moderate earthquake here. Over here to the north, this is a 4.6. Down here to the south, another 5.1. This is a 5.1 here. What's going on? Why are we having all these earthquakes? Again, I want to reemphasize what we've said about the earthquake swarm in north central Italy and all other earthquake swarms. When we get earthquake swarms, that means there is a lot of seismic energy locked up here. There is a lot of seismic energy locked up. And usually when we get swarms, a much larger earthquake is going to come. These may be foreshocks. All the earthquakes that you've seen here today and in the past week or so are foreshocks. I believe they're foreshocks. There is enough history provided in the past for us to use these as foreshocks. It's happened before. When we've got large swarms of earthquakes, usually means there's a much larger earthquake looming. It remains to be seen if or when that's going to happen. I'm saying if and when it's going to happen. There still is a probability that it might not happen, but there's also a probability that it will. I want to make that perfectly clear. Now, there are some islands here around these earthquakes. There are some islands with some populations here around these earthquakes. For example, Takashima here. There are some small civilization of people here. For example, right there. There's a small town there. Let's go pick up another island here. This island right here, Toshima. Look at this. There are people living here. They would be affected by these earthquakes. Yet these earthquakes so far have been out in the Sea of Japan here. The waters of the ocean here absorb the shock waves of these earthquakes so far. But what happens when one of these large earthquakes hits a landmass? What happens when one of these large earthquakes hits the landmass? There's going to be damage. There may be injuries, and there could be fatalities as well. That remains to be seen what's going to happen. But these islands here are populated. These islands here are populated. Now, I want to go a little further north here. Toshima here. This is another island here that's got some population centers here. Okay? Most of these islands do have population centers. Let's go over here. Suwanee-Zajima volcano. Suwanee-Zajima volcano is right here. Suwanee-Zajima volcano has been steaming and also erupting. That's why in this particular satellite photo, you see steam or smoke coming from the volcano. Suwanee-Zajima volcano has been erupting. There's also people living here on the island. Okay? Again, what happens when these earthquakes hit these islands? People may become injured. People may become hurt, even unalived. We're watching these earthquakes very closely. So far, none of these earthquakes have been very close to any landmass. So far, we have had no reports of any injuries or deaths because of these earthquakes. Yet this could happen without even a blink of an eye. Things could literally change hour to hour, week to week. So we're going to keep an eye on what's going on here south of Japan. All of these islands here south of Japan, between Japan and Taiwan, belong to Japan. They belong to Japan. Now, I want to make something perfectly clear here. Look at what's not being shown here in Indonesia. There are 36 earthquakes here in Indonesia. 36. But USGS is only showing 3. This earthquake off the north shore of Sumatra, Indonesia, near Cirebon, 75 kilometers northwest of Cirebon, Indonesia. By the way, it's a volcano. This is the 4.7 earthquake here. There are 4 earthquakes here in northern Sumatra. There are 3 earthquakes here in southern Sumatra down here. There are earthquakes here in Java. Earthquakes here in eastern Java here. Earthquakes here in the Banda Sea. Earthquakes over here in northern and north central Indonesia here. Why are they not shown? Because USGS is out of its mind. They don't believe they need to be talking about anything going on. There are earthquakes over here in the Philippines here. Most of these are 3s and 4s. 4.0, 4.6 here in and around Mindanao, Philippines. Largest island of the Philippines. Mindanao, Philippines here. We have 3s, which are small earthquakes. We have 4s, which are moderate earthquakes. Over here near Cebu City, 3.2, 3.5 here. We're north here to Luzon, Philippines here. 3.4, 3.5, 3.7 here. Why is there not shown up? Inquiring minds want to know. We see an earthquake over here in Papua, Indonesia. This is a 4.8 earthquake here. It's an upper 4. An upper 4. Upper 4s can do damage. In this area of the world, guys, a 4.8 can be very damaging. Usually a 4.0, 4.9 can knock pictures off of walls. They knock knickknacks and books off of shelves. They can rattle dishes and plates in the cupboard and also glasses in the cupboard. If the cupboard is left open or there's no protective latches on the cupboard doors, then plates, glasses, and other bowls will fall off the shelves with an upper 4. A 5.0 can be a very destructive earthquake. Yet USGS is now calling 4.0 to 4.9 light earthquakes. There is nothing light about a 4.0 to 4.9. They used to call them moderate. Now they're calling them light. This is because USGS is lying to the public. Out and out lying to the public. 4.8 earthquakes can be destructive. 5.0, 5.9 are still considered to be large in my book. Yet USGS is calling them moderate earthquakes. Moderate earthquakes don't kill people. Large earthquakes do. But last spring, USGS decided to call these earthquakes by other names. What a fallacy that is. It's another way for USGS to lie. Absolute lie. This earthquake over here in Papua New Guinea. This also is a 4.8. 105 kilometers deep. Still a very shallow earthquake. 4.8 earthquake. Again, people here in Papua New Guinea and Papua Indonesia don't have much money. They live in cardboard and wooden shacks for the most part. Cardboard and wooden shacks. Very interesting. When a moderate earthquake hits here in this region, people get hurt. People die. Why? Because, folks, they don't have much of anything here. They don't have much of anything here. And when they have an earthquake like this, things really fall apart. They have cyclones blow through here. They're called hurricanes in our neck of the woods. Down here, they call them cyclones, with winds of up over 60 to 120 miles an hour. They blow through here and knock over their homes and businesses. Their businesses are farms. They grow vegetables for their families. They go fishing in the rivers here in Papua Indonesia and Papua New Guinea. They don't have much money. When a storm blows through here, so does their livelihood. So does their family. Their families drown. When an earthquake like this comes in, all of a sudden things happen. I think it's particularly distasteful when a large, very strong, or major earthquake blows in here. People get killed. People get killed here. Papua Indonesia and also Papua New Guinea are basically third world countries. Third world countries. But does anybody really understand what that word means? Does anybody really understand what that word means? I hope they would. Because then we can have empathy for these people. And we can also get our own agency off its butt and change the way they do business. Because we are here to save lives. We are here to save lives. Let's go out here to the east. Let's go here to northern Fiji. This is a very large earthquake here. 5.0, 5.5, or actually 5.0 to 5.4 are considered to be low range large earthquakes. 5.5 to 5.9 are very large earthquakes. Very large earthquakes can do damage. This particular 5.6 earthquake is 189 kilometers east-northeast of Fiji. This is far away from the islands here where it's not probably going to do any damage. Not probably going to do any damage. The ocean waters of the Pacific Ocean absorb the shockwaves of this quake. Fortunately, this also is 515 kilometers deep. For all intents and purposes, guys, this is a deep earthquake. This earthquake, deep earthquake, is going to propagate a larger, more shallow quake. This 5.6 earthquake is going to propagate a 6.5 earthquake. It will propagate a 6.5 earthquake, a very strong 6.5 earthquake. Yes, this is very large. The 6.5 earthquake is very strong. It's going to be more shallow. Depending on where that 6.5 hits, it could do major damage. It could do major damage. If that earthquake hits a populated island here in Fiji, Tonga, Vanuatu, the Solomon Islands, or even in Papua New Guinea, it's not going to be pretty. That 6.5 is going to hit sometime within the next 3 to 10 days. Sometime within the next 3 to 10 days. Okay? Let's go down over here to southern Fiji here. This is a 4.2 moderate earthquake here. USGS calls it light. Nothing light about a 4.2, even though it's a low end 4. This is a 4.2 earthquake. It's also, guess what? 561 kilometers deep. This 4.2 is going to propagate a much larger, stronger earthquake and very, very low. It's going to be a shallow earthquake. This 4.2, folks, is going to propagate a larger 5.0. A larger 5.0. This earthquake could hit up here in Tonga, could hit here in Fiji, could hit over here in the Legacy Islands down here, could hit up here in Vanuatu area here, could hit over here in the Solomon Islands, or also over here in Papua New Guinea. It could. Large earthquake. Large earthquake. Okay? I want to give some recognition here to Michael Turney. He just put up 5 monthly emergency management gift memberships here. He just bought 5 month-long gift memberships for Dynamo Hum, Danish Girl, Jim Williams, Michael Haight, and Heidi Petrick. Thank you, Michael. If any of you have received gift memberships, please thank Michael for doing that. That's awesome. That's awesome, Michael. We appreciate that so much. Isaiah's granny here. She's one of my best friends. She's also here as one of our mods. We love and appreciate her as well. Thank you for being here, Isaiah's granny. You're awesome. She lives over on the San Andreas Fault in Southern California. Unreal. My buddy Don Patoga's here, one of my best friends. Don Patoga is also one of our mods here. Thank you for being here. Mamaru lives in Salt Lake City, also here. Thank you, Mamaru. We appreciate you being here. Trish Killian, one of my longtime friends, is also here. Thank you for being here, Trish. God bless you. We appreciate each one of you guys here. We thank you for being here. Let's go back to these earthquakes. Okay? One other earthquake here. This is south of the Fiji Islands on the Tonga Trench. This earthquake is directly on the Tonga Trench here, just north of the Kermadec Islands. This 5.4 earthquake is only 10 kilometers deep. Out here in the Pacific Ocean, it did no harm. The ocean waters here absorbed the shockwaves of this earthquake. It was nowhere near an island. It did no harm at all. Lucky. Down here in New Zealand, USGS is not showing any earthquakes at all. There are 26 earthquakes here in New Zealand. Most of them are north of New Zealand here in the Bay of Plenty, which I call affectionately the catcher's mitt because it looks like a catcher's mitt here. Over here in the North Island, most of those earthquakes are here around the North Island. Now, what's happening here? What's happening here? Notice this North Island here has the Tonga Trench here. Guess what? This is a subduction zone. Sometime within the next 25 years, scientists are saying that they're going to have an 8.0 earthquake here. An 8.0 earthquake. That is going to do tremendous damage here to the New Zealand people. They're watching it, we're watching it, and the island's earthquake agency is watching it. We're going to keep a close eye on this. We're going to keep a very close eye on this. I want to go over here. Again, off of northern Sumatra, we told you about this earthquake here at 4.7. Let's go over here into the Indian Ocean. USGS is showing us an earthquake here. There's actually a couple, three. This is a 4.7, 10 kilometers deep here on the Carlsberg Ridge. All these earthquakes here are on the Carlsberg Ridge. This is a 4.7 earthquake, 10 kilometers deep. This is a 4.6, 10 kilometers deep. This earthquake is a 4.4 here. All these earthquakes are moderate earthquakes here. This Carlsberg Ridge is here in basically in the central Indian Ocean. The Carlsberg Ridge reaches up into the Arabian Sea. Okay, reaches up here into Saudi Arabia, reaches up here into Iran. So this seismic energy, 3 of them, 3 moderate earthquakes is going to reach up here into Iran or Saudi Arabia, probably within the next week. We're going to see moderate earthquakes in this region. We're already seeing earthquakes here, but USGS is not talking about it. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. This earthquake here, northwestern Turkey. What you need to know is this is not the only earthquake here. This is a 4.2 earthquake here in northwestern Turkey, 10 kilometers deep. There are literally dozens of earthquakes here in western Turkey, northern Turkey, and central Turkey, and even down southern Turkey, dozens of earthquakes. Michael McKinney just awarded 10 EMA memberships, month-long memberships, to people here watching our program. Phoenix Evolution, Evolving Weather Radar Analyst. Phoenix Evolution just got a month-long membership to our channel. Morgan, you received a month-long membership. Lori Van Hoosier also received a month-long membership. I think the name is pronounced Asavar, got a membership. Jen P., Brandy, Vicky, Chris Donaldson, Tanya Ramirez, 1 Corinthians 15. Yeah, 1 Corinthians 15. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. We appreciate you. Those of you that have received memberships, please thank Michael Kearney for that. Michael Kearney's a great man. Marianne Dewar Knotts is here in the chat. She's got her bug out bag showing here. She says, time to inspect my bug out bag. Yes, it is. Because we are going to have some earthquakes hit. But like I said, there are dozens of earthquakes over here in eastern Turkey. We've explained in the past days about what's happening here in eastern Turkey. Aftershocks. 40 aftershocks in this region, eastern Turkey. Aftershocks from a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake that hit here 2 years ago. Earthquakes in southern and northern Turkey here, lots of them. Most of them are tremors. There are some 2.0s. There's also some 3.5 and 3.6s mixed in. Also up over here, we've already told you about this 4.2, which is a moderate quake. There are moderate quakes hitting here, small earthquakes 3.0, 3.9, minor 2.0, 2.9, and tremors hitting here also. Over here in the in the Aegean Sea here, we have earthquakes here. These earthquakes are because of magma beneath the surface here. Magma down here in the crust of the earth that's hammering away at bedrock. Fracturing bedrock, causing earthquakes here. So magma is trying to find a way to erupt, but it's down here in the bedrock of the crust here, down beneath the water. At some point in time, we might get a volcanic eruption here. Could very well happen. Again, Greece has a lot of earthquakes here. I'm not going to go into a lot of them. We have earthquakes over here in Sicily, earthquakes here in southern Italy. Naturally, we have earthquakes down here around Vesuvius volcano. Vesuvius volcano is trying to erupt. That's why we have earthquakes. Again, USGS is not talking about it. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. North central Italy has a swarm of earthquakes, much like we're seeing south of Japan. Again, we are waiting any day now to see a large 5.0 plus earthquake hit here. It happened here about a year ago. It's likely to happen again. Okay? We have small, minor tremors and minor earthquakes up here in northeastern Sicily or Italy here, northeastern Italy here, in the Alps region of Italy, down here in north central Italy here, in the Alps, and down here in the resort areas of Italy and France. Minor earthquakes and tremors here. Minor earthquakes and tremors here. Over here in Switzerland and Germany, minor earthquakes and tremors hitting here as well. All over here. France has some minor earthquakes hitting France today. Down here in the Boer region of France and Spain, 2 minor earthquakes here. That's normal for that area. Southern Spain has a number of 3 or 4 earthquakes here in southern Spain, and a couple up north as well, and also in Portugal. That's normal. That's completely normal. USGS is not talking about the earthquakes here in Sweden and Norway. There are earthquakes here in southern Sweden and also Norway as well. Okay? Let's go over here into the southern Atlantic Ocean. Down here, we have a 5.2 earthquake down here in the South Mid-Atlantic. Okay? This is also known as the Antarctic Ridge. The Antarctic Ridge. This is a large 5.2 earthquake that's going to migrate over here to the Mid-Atlantic Fault. It's going to migrate here to the Mid-Atlantic Fault within the next couple days. Then it's going to migrate through the South Mid-Atlantic here, up into the Central Mid-Atlantic, and fortunately up here into the North Mid-Atlantic here. Large earthquake. We've seen it happen before. These large earthquakes have a habit of migrating all the way up here into Iceland and even further north up here. It can happen, it's happened in the past. Now, what you have not been told, if you have not been listening to this program, the Mid-Atlantic Fault is expanding. The Mid-Atlantic Fault is expanding. Let me bring up our webcam here. I want to explain this. The Mid-Atlantic Fault is expanding. It's going like this. The Mid-Atlantic Fault is expanding, pushing Europe and Africa in eastern direction. It's pushing North America and Greenland in the southwesterly direction like this, causing earthquakes along the way. Now, USGS is not showing the earthquakes here on the East Coast. I'm going to show you some earthquakes here on the East Coast today. Okay? A lot of earthquakes here on the East Coast that no one is aware of because the agency doesn't want anybody to know about it. The only way you're going to know about it is if you research the seismographs. If you go looking at the seismographs, which are the machines that record the earthquakes, on basically a graph called a seismograph. A seismograph. Used to be a sheet of paper, now they're digital. Digital seismographs. Now I'm going to show you those as well. Not just here on the East Coast, but also here on the Pneumatic Fault. On the Pneumatic Fault. They're not showing one single earthquake here, and they almost never do. Occasionally they will show an earthquake here on the Pneumatic, but not very often. It's sad. It's very sad. The USBS, as I call it, has not been showing earthquakes on a regular basis for years. And they've gotten worse and worse and worse about it. Their reporting stinks. They either do not show earthquakes or they mislabel where the earthquakes are. That way people don't get shook up about it because people don't realize what's exactly happening. Let's go over to the Pneumatic Fault first. I want to show you what's happening. I believe you deserve and have a right to know. Okay? So let's go over here and look at the Pneumatic Fault. I'm going to go over here to Arkansas first. Folks, this is Catfish Pond, Arkansas, this afternoon. Look what's going on. Let me enlarge this so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Look what started happening at approximately 2 p.m. The black line here is 2 p.m. We're having 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes today here at Catfish Pond, Arkansas, along the Pneumatic Fault, on the western side of the Pneumatic Fault, Arkansas. Notice also at the top of the seismic sequences, and the bottom of the seismic sequences have been cut off. That's because the agency does not want you to know how strong these earthquakes are. They are at least 3.5 to 4.0 earthquakes. 3.5 to 4.0 earthquakes. Incredible. That's just here at Catfish Pond and the surrounding areas that felt it. Incredible, huh? It's not the only thing. It's happening here. That's this afternoon. This is this morning. This is this morning. If you were just to look at this seismogram today, this morning, you would have no idea what was going to happen this afternoon. Because all we had here were tremors except for one 2.3 earthquake. One 2.3 earthquake that happened earlier this morning on that red line here. That 2.3 earthquake hit at 7:19 a.m. this morning. All the other seismic events here are all tremors. Then this afternoon, all heck broke loose after 2 o'clock. For almost an hour today here in Catfish Pond, Arkansas, things broke out. Things broke out. This is a huge seismic sequence here. Huge. We've not seen this kind of sequence here along the New Madrid Fault in a long, long time. Now, these kinds of sequences have not happened before. They've not happened before. Why am I saying that? The answer is this. Up until approximately 2 to 3 years ago, there were really no real earthquakes hitting. They were all tremors. Tremors that no one felt. Now we are getting large earthquakes. Large earthquakes. 2 and 3 years ago, I had people asking me, Ron, what is going on the New Madrid Fault? And I was telling you, nothing. And I would go to the earthquake maps. They were showing 1.2, 1.4, 1.5, 1.7 tremors. That was it. That was it. Occasionally after that, 2.0 minor earthquake. But that was all. 2 years ago, things started changing. The magnitudes of what these earthquakes were doing changed. The magnitudes increased. The magnitudes increased, and they continue increasing. Why? Because, folks, the mid-Atlantic fault is putting pressure on the East Coast. That pressure is being transmitted over to the east side of the New Madrid Fault. And also pressure from the West Coast. Pressure from the West Coast is also putting pressure on the western side of the New Madrid Fault. Now the New Madrid Fault is getting pushed in like this. There's going to be a major earthquake here within the next 2 years. I believe we're going to see a major earthquake here in the next 2 years. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I guarantee it. I shouldn't say that word guarantee, but I believe it's going to happen. The New Madrid Fault is getting ready. We're seeing the energy expand. We're seeing the energy expand, guys. And I hate it. I hate to admit that. Because when this happens, people are going to get hurt. People are going to get hurt. People are going to get hurt. Now, in 2011, I was part of a group of scientists, geologists, and emergency management personnel. We traveled to Little Rock, Arkansas. Our headquarters was the Arkansas Department of Emergency Management in Little Rock. We came over there on the anniversary, the 200-year anniversary of the New Madrid Fault earthquake. We arrived on the Friday before. The Friday before, we had a meeting of most of the emergency management personnel and also the people that would be participating in the earthquake drill. Firefighters, police officers, medics, National Guard personnel. Even citizens here along the New Manifold also participated. The emergency management offices in every major city and town up and down the fault participated. On the morning of the drill, we had some earthquakes. What do you think happened? We had three earthquakes. Three earthquakes that hit on the New Manifold that morning. 3 small earthquakes hit. Now, folks, for the most part, that should be too concerning. That should be not too concerning. Just minor earthquakes. Actually, small. They weren't minor. Minor is 2.0, 2.9. These were 3.5, 3.7, and 3.9 earthquakes. 3.5, 3.7, and 3.9 earthquakes here. That should be concerning everybody. Like I said, we stationed ourselves in Little Rock, Arkansas. We also had people up here in Missouri, and we also had people up here in Oklahoma. Why? Why do you think we had people up here in Oklahoma? Because the New Manifold also goes up here to Oklahoma. Okay? People felt that earthquake up in Oklahoma. People felt those earthquakes in Missouri. They felt them over in northern Arkansas as well. Small earthquakes in those locations along the New Manifold. They felt those earthquakes. What is happening now? We're seeing these earthquakes hit in strategic areas, the center of the New Manifold by itself. Mostly along the center part of the New Manifold. We're going to show you that right now. Okay? I want to show you exactly what's going on right now. Okay? Again, this is Catfish Pond, Arkansas. Let's keep going here. I want to go over here to Dell, Arkansas now. Dell, Arkansas. Nothing happened. Nothing happened here except that the agency is not showing much of anything but tiny tremors and microquakes here until 10:50 a.m. this morning. 10:50 a.m. this morning in Dell, Arkansas. We had a 3.2 earthquake. A 3.2 earthquake here in Dell, Arkansas today. Crazy, huh? Nothing else there. Let's go over to Little River, Arkansas. Look at this. Little River, Arkansas. Before 7 a.m. Tremors and microquakes here. You see long duration tremor activity happening. Even after 1 a.m. this morning. Each line here represents a 15-minute time period. Each and every horizontal line here represents a 15-minute time period. All you see is long duration tremor activity. 1.0, 1.1 tremors. Those aren't felt. But what happened today, just before 7:01 a.m. The tremors build up very quickly. All of a sudden we had 2.0, 2.5, 2.9, then 3.0 earthquake activity. The earthquakes were back to back, off and on for more than 15 seconds. Then the seismic activity died down again to 2.0 minor earthquakes, and then finally down to tremors, and it dissipated within 2 minutes. This was a 3.0 earthquake sequence here, Little River, Arkansas. Fascinating, huh? I'm not done. I'm not done. I want you to know exactly what is going on here. We have a lot of emergency management associates, families, and people that live here in the New Madrid area. That's why I'm showing this to you today. At least once a week, we talk about the New Madrid fault. Little River, Arkansas got hit. Let's go over to Manila, South Arkansas, right here. Manila, Arkansas South also got hit by some earthquakes today. Just after 11:01 a.m. this morning, we had back-to-back 3.0 earthquakes, literally seconds apart. The seismic energy built up to tremors, instantly died down to tremors after that within a minute and a half. Then we had some tiny tremors, and then all of a sudden it built up instantly to 2.6, 2.7, 2.8 earthquakes after that. Okay? This happened after 11:07 a.m. this morning. 11:07 to 11:08 this morning. 2.8, start off at 2.6, 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes. Then died down to 2.0, 2.5, and then the tremors again. South Manila, South Arkansas. Unreal. What about this afternoon? This afternoon here in Manila, South Arkansas here. Look at this. This afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, look what we see here. At 12 noon, the top line here is 12 noon. These are tremors. Largest tremor we had here is 12:02 or 12:02 p.m. this afternoon. Angela Harris just gave us a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Angela. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. God bless you for that. Folks, yes, we do need these super chats. Super chats help support the channel to keep it on the air. You also, if you want to, after I take some of these seismograms down, you're going to see our PayPal and our Venmo locations scroll across the bottom of your screen. Go to our PayPal and our Venmo and also help support this channel. Also, you see our address. Let me bring this thing down a little bit so you can see our address here. Below our PayPal and Venmo, you have our address here. You have our email address where you can send us comments and criticisms about this program, or even comments about what you'd like to see us talk about. You see our address here, 504 Bethel Road, Box 401, Morganton, North Carolina here, and the zip code is 28655. You can also send us cards and letters. Inside the cards and letter, you can stick a check or even cash inside your card or letter. If you send us cash or a check, make sure it's wrapped up inside a letter where you're telling us about what you're doing to prepare. We'd love to see it. We'd love to see it. We love getting cards and letters. We appreciate that. Let's get back to what's going on here. Okay, South Manila, Arkansas this afternoon. This morning not much happened, but this afternoon it did. Okay, just after 12 noon we had some tremors. 12:30 more tremors. 12:46 more tremors and minor earthquakes. We come across here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We come across here to 12:53 p.m. this afternoon. A 3.1 earthquake. 3.1 earthquake here. It lasted for several seconds. 3.0 can be felt. Then after that, you see 1300 over on the left-hand side, that's 1 p.m. We come over here at approximately 1:11 p.m. this afternoon. This is another 3.0, 3.3 earthquake. 3.0 to 3.3 earthquake signals here. Again, this energy lasts about 10 seconds. Then we have tremors and minor earthquakes after that. Here at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1:51 p.m. this afternoon, we have a 2.0 earthquake on the green line. Then we jump down to the blue line after 2 p.m. You see 1400 here on the left, that's 2 p.m. The blue line after that is 2:30. At 2:32, we have a 3.0 earthquake. After that, we have a bunch of minor earthquakes, 2.0, 2.5, 2.6, 2.8. Then just before 2:34, we have 3.4 earthquake happen. 3.3 within seconds after that. We have 2.9 earthquake after that. We have a bunch of 2s after that. And then the seismic signal comes down to tremors after that. The tremors last how long? 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes. That's why this initial signal here, the second earthquake that happened, was a 3.3 earthquake. The secondary quake, the secondary wave that I just explained to you, lasted over 3 minutes, closer to 4. That would make that second earthquake a 3.3 earthquake. Then we come across over here to the right. This is 2:42 p.m. this afternoon. Another 3.1 earthquake. 3.1 earthquake lasts about 5 seconds. Then it quickly dissipates. Folks, here in Manila, South Arkansas, they got hit. They got hit. People living in this area got hit, guys. They felt this energy move across under their feet. They might have even seen or felt the furniture move across the floor. If they had wooden floors or tile floors, they would have seen their furniture move across the floors. This is something, isn't it? Because just 2 years ago, all we're seeing are minor earthquakes. Now we're seeing full-blown 3.0, 3.3, 3.2 earthquakes hitting here. Wait till you see what we have to show you next. It gets bigger. It gets somewhat bigger, guys. I kid you not. Let's keep on moving here. That's Manila South. Let's go over to Marktree, Arkansas. Marktree, Arkansas is in northern Arkansas. Look at this. 4 months ago, Marktree, Arkansas was seeing 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes hitting every 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah. Now they're not seeing that as much, but they're still seeing seismic energy. Yes, they had some 3.0 earthquakes happen here today, this morning. Okay? On this red line here after 4 a.m. 4:05 a.m. this morning, we had a 3.0 earthquake. Before that, we had a bunch of twos and minor, say 2.0 to 2.8. 2.0, 2.8. Then at 219, 220, all of a sudden, or I mean, not 2, but 419, 420 this morning, we had a 3.0 earthquake. Then we have a bunch of tremors until we get down here to after 6:30 on the blue line. And before that, the actual tremor sequence started after about 6:43 a.m. this morning. I'm sorry, not 6:43, 6:23 this morning. Tremors, guys. The tremors build up until we get down here on the blue line over here on the left. That is 6:30 or 6:30 this morning. We have some minor earthquakes, 2.3, 2.4, 2.6, 2.7, 2.5s, then multiple 3.0 earthquakes again. 6:01 a.m. Then the tremors, then the minor earthquakes come out after that. Then we have 3.0 earthquakes again a minute later. Then more upper magnitude 2.5, 2.8, 2.9. And after that, tremors again. Folks, this is Marktree, Arkansas. Up until 4 months ago, we were seeing 3.0 earthquakes happen about every 3 or 4 minutes, literally all day long. There are sometimes were as many as 14 3.0 and larger earthquakes here in Marktree, Arkansas every morning. They continue in the afternoon as well. Now we are seeing, 4 months ago, they calmed down to nothing more than tremors, long duration tremor activity building up to no more than 2.0 minor earthquakes. Yes, we're still seeing 2.0, 2.4 minor earthquakes, but we're also seeing a lot of tremors as well. Let's look at Marktree, Arkansas this afternoon. Right here, this afternoon. Again, the top line here is 12 p.m. today. The second black line is 1 p.m. The next blue line here is 1:30 over on the left-hand side. Now, let me pull this seismograph back. Okay? Over on the left, this is 2:30 this afternoon. Over here on the right. Now, folks, we have 2:44 p.m. this afternoon. That's when the tremors start building up. 2:43, 2.0 earthquake. 2:44, 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. Just after 2:44, another 2.7, 2.8. We get over here to the left-hand side. This is 2:45 on the green line here. 2:45 on the green line. What are we seeing? The first thing we've seen after 2:45 is a 2.3 earthquake. Then we get to be 3.0, 3.2. This earthquake sequence lasts just over 2.5, 2 3/4 minutes. 3.0, 3.3 earthquakes here. That should be unnerving everywhere. Here in Marktree, furniture moves beneath your feet. You feel rumbling. You'll feel uneasy. Some people might even feel dizzy. Again, books and knickknacks fall off the shelves. Plates rattle on tables and in cupboards. If the cupboards aren't secure, maybe something will fall out of the cupboards. Yeah. 3.0 earthquakes. Marktree, Arkansas. I think what we're going to see in Marktree, Arkansas is these small earthquakes rise up again. Not just tremors, not just minor earthquakes, but 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes again here at Marktree, Arkansas going forward. That's what I see. That's what's been happening. Okay? That's what I've been seeing happening here. Okay? Civil Defense Prepping's here. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for being here. Now, I want to talk about another place in Central Arkansas, North Central Arkansas. This is Needham, Arkansas. We've actually seen earthquakes here at Needham, Arkansas as well. This is North Central Arkansas here. On this particular seismogram this morning, we see a bunch of tremors, don't we? Long duration tremors at best. But we also see a couple areas where we had 2.0 earthquakes here. 2.0 earthquakes here this morning. This first 2.0 happened just before 7:44 a.m. this morning. And I actually believe it was actually a 2.5, 2.6 earthquake. Then after that, over here at 7:45, 7:46, 7:45, the tremors are building again. Now here we have a 2.7 earthquake. 2.7 minor earthquake, nobody felt. But the earthquake still happened. 2.0, 2.9 earthquakes, nobody's going to feel. 2.5 to 2.9, just very sensitive people might feel that. But usually nobody feels those earthquakes. Small earthquakes are felt. Small earthquakes are felt. Needham, Arkansas has been having small earthquakes for some time. All you see here are minor earthquakes here in Needham, Arkansas. But I want to show you that even earthquakes over here in Central Arkansas, a couple hundred miles from the New Madrid. Let's go over to Little Rock, Arkansas, and just north of Little Rock, Arkansas, is a town called Rivervale, Arkansas. Rivervale, Arkansas. Look at this. This morning, early this morning, this particular earthquake happened after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, after 1:51 a.m. this morning. 1:51 a.m. they got woken up this morning. This is a 3.3 earthquake. 3.3 earthquake here in Rivervale, Arkansas. Let me show you where this is. We have a map. We have a map here. Right there. See where Little Rock is? We go further south here, we get Riverdale. That's where this earthquake hit. I want to make sure you knew where that was. You get some kind of idea of where we're talking about. I want to go south to Truman, Arkansas here. Truman, Arkansas is way south of Marktree. Way south of Marktree. Let me reduce the size of this diagram so you can see what we're talking about here. Again, the black line at the top here is midnight. Midnight, 12 a.m. At first, all we see are tremors, long duration tremor activity here. Then after 3:50 a.m. this morning, all of a sudden we get to see tremors and our first 2.2, 2.3 earthquake that reduces it to tremors after that. Then after 4 a.m., we still have tremors. 4:15 a.m., more tremors. More tremors. Then after 5:30 this morning, we have a 2.9 earthquake. 5:47 a.m., 3.0 earthquake. Truman, Arkansas, 3.0 earthquake. Then we drop down here to 6 a.m. on the left-hand side. We go over here to 3:10 on the black line. 3:10 a.m. we have a 2.4, 2.5. A minute later, we have a 2.7, 2.8. We have continued 2.7, 2.8. Then we have a 2.9. Then we have a 2.7, a 2.5. We have some tremors. Then we have 2.0 earthquakes, going back to tremors again. That sequence after 5 a.m. was unreal. 6 a.m. unreal. 6:30 we have minor earthquakes again. Appears to be 2.4, 2.5 minor earthquakes. Over at after 7:45 on the left-hand side, more tremors. More tremors. Then we come down here to after 9:45 on the left-hand side. You see 9 a.m. over on the left-hand side. We go down to the green line. It's now 9:45. 9:45 we have 2.9, 3.0 earthquake again. Then a 2.7, 2.8. Then more tremors. That was this morning here at Truman, Arkansas. Truman typically follows Marktree. Truman's seismic energy typifies following Marktree, even up to 3.0s. South there to Tyronza, Arkansas, southern Arkansas. Tyronza, Arkansas, next. This is Tyronza, Arkansas this morning. Nothing much happened until after 4 a.m. Microquakes, minor tremor sequences, that's it. 1.0, 1.1 tremors here. Then after 4 a.m. it starts picking up, as you can see. 5 a.m., more tremors. We come down here to 7 a.m. on the left-hand side. We come over here to 7:13 a.m. on the black line on the right. 7:13 we have a 2.9 earthquake. Actually I'm sorry, not 13, but 7:12. 2.9. 7:13 we have a 3.0. It dies quickly down to tremors. Then we have even more tremors. At 7:19 a.m. this morning on the red line. 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. On the blue line below that, we have some tremors. We get up to 2.5, 2.6 earthquakes here. Then we come down here to 9 a.m., 9:30. 9:30 on the blue line. Guess what? 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. On the black line below that, 2.6 earthquake at 7:09 or 7:04 a.m. 3 minutes later, another 2.5, 2.6. Then about 3 minutes later, another 2.3, 2.4. A minute later, 2.0. Then we come down here to 11 a.m. again on the black line. We come over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes later, 8 minutes later. This is a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. 11:08 a.m. this morning. 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. Down here on the blue line, this is 11:31. 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. Come over here to 11:36. This is a 2.8, 2.9. Further over here to the right, folks, this is 11:42 this morning. 2.9, 3.0. So here at Tyrons, Arkansas, we're also seeing good-sized earthquakes here. Good-sized earthquakes from tremors to small earthquakes here. Tyrons, Arkansas. Let's look here at Tyrons, Arkansas this afternoon. Actually, we didn't have anything Tyrons, Arkansas this afternoon. Let's go down to Louisiana. Louisiana. I did not a drill, but I was down here after Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina here. DeRidder, Louisiana here. Tremors here, literally all day long. Tremors here, DeRidder, Louisiana, literally all day long. Fascinating. Fascinating. This is DeRidder this afternoon, literally all day long. But there's one more location here in Louisiana that we want you to see. I want to take you over to Pioneer, Louisiana here. This is down south. Nothing much happened after midnight this morning at the top. Tiny tremors and microquakes at best. Then we come down here to late morning. Late morning here. Look what happens. Okay? Down here after 9 a.m. 9 a.m. over here on the left, minor tremors, 1.0, 1.1 tremors. But we come over here to the far right, 9:14 a.m. Tremors. Within about 40 seconds later, 2.4, 2.5 earthquake. Come over here after that to the red line. Nothing but tremors until we get over here to the right again. This is 9:43 a.m. this morning. 3.2, 3.3 earthquake this morning. 3.2, 3.3 earthquake this morning. Louisiana. Then what happens here after 10:30? Actually, it happened before that. At 10:21 a.m. this morning on the red line here, 3.1 earthquake. 3.1 earthquake. After that, going to the right, This would be 10:42 a.m. 3.0 earthquake here. 10:44 this morning, or 10:34, excuse me, 10:34 this morning on the red line on the right. 3.3 earthquake here. Then we come down here on the blue line on the left. Nothing much happens until we get over here on the right again. Now we're here at 10:41 a.m. this morning. Notice at the top and the bottom of this sequence, the top has been cut off and the bottom has also been cut off. This is a 3.5, 4.0 earthquake. I tend to say it's on the lower side, probably a 3.5 earthquake. They cut it off because they don't want to see how strong it is. They don't want us to see how strong it is. 3.5 earthquake here in Louisiana. This is felt. It upsets people. It drives people crazy. This can do some minor damage, very minor damage. It can move furniture across the floor, and now we're getting into the point where everything's rattling around. Everything's moving and rattling around here. 3.5 earthquake here. Louisiana. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been doing this program over 6 years now. Up until this point here in Louisiana, I've never seen a 3.0, 3.5 earthquake yet until today. 3.0 small, 3.5 small earthquake here in Louisiana, Pioneer, Louisiana today. As I said before, seismic magnitudes of earthquakes are increasing here on the New Madrid Fault from south to north. From south to north. Seismic signals are increasing, meaning the number of earthquakes are increasing, and the size of the earthquakes are also increasing here. The New Madrid Fault, guys. The New Madrid Fault is moving. I want you all to be aware of it. The New Madrid Fault is moving. Let's go over to the center of the New Madrid in Missouri. This is Cape Girardeau, Missouri, along the New Madrid Fault. Look, we're showing here tremors up here at the top. Midnight, tremors. 1 o'clock this morning, tremors. 1:30 this morning, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., tremors. Tremors, guys. Then we come to 6 a.m. this morning. The size of the tremors increases here. No, we're not seeing earthquakes here. We're not even seeing minor or small earthquakes. We're seeing tremors here. But the number of tremors increased, didn't it? The number of tremors increased here. That's an important takeaway here. The number of tremors increased. Guess what? It's not over. This afternoon, the same thing happened. Nothing but tremors here. Cape Girardeau, Missouri. The center part of the New Madrid Fault. Then I want to jump over to Portageville, Missouri. Right here. This is directly on the western side of the New Madrid Fault. Missouri, guys. Missouri. Now you're seeing tremors. You're also seeing 3.0, 3.5, possibly even as much as a 4.0 moderate earthquake here in Portageville, Missouri. Look what's happening, guys. This is no joke. This is no joke at all. Look here at the green earthquake here in the center. This is after 5:55 this morning. 3.0, 3.3 earthquake here. How long did this quake sequence last? 1, 2, 3 minutes. 3-minute long sequence here. Anybody living here would think, oh my gosh, what's going on? I feel movement. You felt movement after 1:02 this morning. 1:02 this morning, we had some 2.8, 2.9, possibly as much as a 3.0 earthquake happened this morning. That 3.0 hit it at 1:03. Then we had some tremor activity after that and minor earthquakes. 2.0 minor earthquakes, 2 minutes long. That's why, folks, that's why I said that this earthquake here was a 2.9, 3.0. It's because the secondary wave here lasted 2 minutes. Minor earthquakes at that, secondary wave lasted 2 minutes. 2.9, 3.0 earthquake. Then we come down here to after 5:50 a.m. this morning. This quake sequence lasted 3 minutes. At least 2 minutes where it was at least 3.0, 3.4, 3.5 earthquake. Then what happens? What happens? We come down here to after 7 a.m. this morning. 7:09 a.m. we have another 2.9 earthquake on the black line center here. Then we have more tremors. We jump down here to after 9 a.m. On the red line on the left-hand side is 9:15. 9:18 comes along over here on the left-hand side on the red line. The top and the bottom of this quake sequence were cut off. This is at least a 3.5, 4.0 earthquake, and actually I believe it was probably closer to a 4.0. 4.0 earthquake here at Pires Real, Missouri. No joke. No joke. Then we have some minor earthquakes, and we jump down here on the red line after 11:15. 11:22 a.m. this morning. 2.9 earthquake. 2.9 earthquake. 3 minutes later. 11:23 a.m. 3.0 earthquake. Pires Real, Missouri. As I said, the earthquakes here along the pneumatic fault are getting larger, and they're getting more frequent. They're getting larger and more frequent, guys. The pneumatic fault is getting squeezed by the seismic activity along the East Coast and the seismic activity out west. That's what's happening here. The pneumatic fault is getting squeezed, and we're having these earthquakes here. Pires Real, Missouri, right here. Look at this morning. This afternoon. Again, this afternoon at approximately 12:18 this morning. 2.8 earthquake. Then further down here, approximately 12:20 this morning, or 12:20 this afternoon, 2.3 earthquake. Over here on the blue line. Over on the left, this is 12:30. Over here, this is 12:40. 2.8 earthquake here. We drop down to after 2:15 on the left-hand side. You see 1400 hours on the left, that is 2 p.m. The red line is 2:15. We go over here to 4 minutes later. 1:19 p.m. this afternoon. Again, the energy's been topped and bottomed off. This is at least a 3.0 earthquake sequence lasting nearly 3 minutes. lasting nearly 3 minutes. 3.0 earthquake happening here. Then another one, this time in this green line here. After 2:41, or actually 2:51 p.m. here. 2.5, 2.7, 2.8, 2.9, 3.0. The top and the bottom of this sequence have been cut off, so I believe what we've actually got is at least a 3.5 earthquake, lasting 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes long. 3.5 earthquake lasting 4 minutes. This is big time, gotten big. 3.5 earthquake is a small earthquake. However, those of you that are here in Missouri felt this earthquake happen. The earth moved beneath your feet. Again, you might have felt dizzy. You have a right to feel dizzy. Rebecca the Explorer says Louisiana, question mark, hidden question mark. Rebecca, I just got through showing you a few minutes ago earthquakes in Louisiana. 3.0 earthquakes in Louisiana. If anything's hiding it, it's the USGS. The USGS is not showing anything. Absolutely nothing up and down the entire fault line. Not a freaking thing. Not a freaking thing. Incredible. The United States Geological Survey is not going to show this to you. We are the only agency, we are the only program on YouTube ever to show you this information. Nobody else is doing it. Everybody here deserves the right to know what's going on. You feel energy beneath your feet now. 2 years ago, you didn't feel that. Yes, there was energy there, but it was minor tremors, minor earthquakes. Now we are actually feeling the seismic energy. We're feeling the seismic energy here. That is an important differentiation here. We're actually feeling the energy here. Let's close out the pneumatic fault energy here. Let's go over to here to the East Coast. I want to show this. I want to say this is important information, guys. This is very, very important that you understand what's going on here. If you don't understand it, there's a problem. There is a distinct problem. As I said before, there is seismic energy here. There is seismic energy here. This is Savannah, Georgia. This is tremor activity here. Tremor activity in Savannah, Georgia, except for one earthquake. One earthquake here. This earthquake occurred. Actually, two earthquakes. I want to say two earthquakes. The first one occurred on this green line here. After 8:54 a.m. this morning. This was a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake here. 2.7, 2.8 earthquake here in Savannah, Georgia. Dropping down to 9 a.m. 9:01 a.m. we had a 2.2 earthquake on the black line. Okay. Then we jump down below it to the blue line. On the blue line, we have a 2.0 earthquake right below that. Okay. That's 8:31. 8:31. Let's drop down to 8:30 on the blue line. Over to the right. This is 8:41 a.m. this morning. 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. All the rest of these are tremors until we get down to 11:44. Then we have a 2.2, 2.3 this morning. Minor earthquake here. Savannah, Georgia. Savannah, Georgia this afternoon right here. Look at this. Most part this is tremors. Most part this is just tremors. Over here on the black line here above it, we have some tremors and we have some minor 2.0 earthquakes as well. 2:02 a.m. this morning, or I'm sorry, not 12:02 a.m. this morning, we have 2.0 earthquakes. Then we drop over here to the right-hand side. The right-hand side here. Okay? This right-hand side is approximately 12:13. Again, 2.0 earthquakes here. Down at 12 on the green line below that, at 12:46, another 2.0 earthquake. Jump over here to the right on the blue line here, this after 2:44, another 2.0. Then, on the next blue line down, this is 3:02, almost 3:03, 2.8 earthquake. 2.8 earthquake here, Savannah, Georgia. Then you can see some minor tremors, and over here towards the right, 2:43 this morning, or this afternoon, 2:43 this afternoon on this blue line, a 2.0 earthquake. 2.4 earthquake immediately after that. Savannah, Georgia, guys. Again, in the past, all we've seen here are tremors at all. Nothing else. Nothing else. Now we're actually seeing some small earthquakes. Small earthquakes here in Savannah, Georgia. Let's keep going. I want to go over to excuse me a second. I got something in my eye here. Something in my eye besides my finger. I think I got it. I hope I did. Felt like a rock in my eye. I want to go over to Sumter, South Carolina. Folks, this is Sumter, South Carolina right here. Nothing much going on all morning long except later this morning. Look what happens here. We come down here to 8 a.m. on the black line. What's happened here? You can see 8 a.m. on the left-hand side, but what's happened here? They turned off the seismograph. They first turned off the seismograph, and then the stylus moved. The stylus moved up. That's why this black line is raised like this. The stylus moved up. They had turned off the seismograph before this happened. Then they turned it back on and the stylus moved. Yes, we had some tremors. We did have some tremors, but guess what? Movement. Towards the right side, we had some minor earthquakes, didn't we? But before that, on the green line before that, which is actually 7:45 on the right, on the left-hand side, over here to the right, different story. Sumter, South Carolina, guys. This, folks, is 7:55 a.m. this morning. 3.3 earthquake. This is at least a 3.3 earthquake. Notice that they cut off the top of this seismic sequence. This is at least a 3.3 earthquake, possibly as much as a 3.5. Sumter, South Carolina. This is over in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. In the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains here. Unreal. Unreal. What else is happening? We come down here on the A15 line on the left-hand side. Tremors until we get to the middle here. At approximately 8:07, or I'm not saying 8:07, 8:22 a.m. this morning. 2.2, 2.5 earthquakes. Then we have another 3.0 earthquake. It happens, doesn't it? Come down here to the blue line. The blue line here on the left-hand side is 8:30, 8:31. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. This seismic sequence happens off and on for about 30 seconds. The next time we see some good earthquakes here is at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. we have some tremors. We go over to the right. 9/11. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake again. 9:30. More 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes here. We drop down now until we get over here to 10:44 a.m. this morning on the right-hand side. 10:44 a.m. this morning. 3.0, 3.1 earthquake here. This is here on the East Coast. Sumter, Lugoff, South Carolina. For the most part, all we've ever seen here are tremors and minor 2.0 to 2.8 earthquakes. That was it until today. Now we are actually seeing these earthquakes get larger. As I said, we were getting more earthquakes and we're getting large earthquakes here. Here after 10:45 on the left-hand side. Come over here 4 minutes later. This, folks, is 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. A minute later, a minute and a half later, another 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. We jump down here to 11:30 on the left-hand side. And yes, on this blue line again. This is 11:05 or 11:35 a.m. this morning. 11:35 a.m. this morning. 3.0 earthquake activity. It lasts 30 seconds. 30 seconds, guys. 3.0 earthquake, and then a minute and a half later, we have another one. Then we drop down here to 11:45 on the left-hand side, and then we're here at 11:48. 11:48, we're seeing 2.9, 3.0 earthquakes, and then another one at 2:49. As I said, Sumter, South Carolina. This is a frequent place for earthquakes. This is very much a frequent place for earthquakes. Even the meteorologists here in North Carolina and South Carolina have shown these earthquakes in the past. But so far today, I have not heard anything from the meteorologists here on the East Coast. Nothing. But I'm showing you these today. Sumter, South Carolina. I've shown you tremors and minor earthquakes and small earthquakes in Savannah, Georgia. This is South Carolina. Let's go over to Roper, North Carolina, on the northeast side of North Carolina, near the coastline. Look at this morning. After midnight, all we had were tremors. Then we drop down here to 1:45 on the left-hand side. Then we move over here to the right. 11:51 a.m. this morning. I'm sorry, not 11. This is 1:51 a.m. this morning. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. Then we have 2.7 earthquake after that. Then another 2.8, 2.9 earthquake a minute later. Roper, North Carolina. We've seen these kind of earthquakes before. These 2.9, 3.0, 3.3 earthquakes have been happening here in Roper for quite some time. This is this afternoon. This is this afternoon, guys. It's happening. It's happening. I want to go inland now. I want to go to a town that's about 45 minutes to an hour north of me, called Taylorsville, North Carolina. Look at this. This is not the first time this has occurred. After midnight, we had some microquakes and tremors, 1 or 2 tremors, that's it. Then, what happens later this morning here? Just before, or just after 6:30. On the blue line, just after 6:30, we get some minor tremors, and then we start seeing upwards of a 1.9 tremor over on the right-hand side. 6:44. 6:44. 1.4, 1.5 tremor. 6:45 on the green line. More tremors. Then we come down here to 7 a.m. We have more tremors, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, just before 7:03, we have a 3.0 earthquake. A 3.0 earthquake here in Taylorsville. We have not seen a 3.0 earthquake hit in Taylorsville ever. Not in the 6 years that I've been doing business here. We haven't seen it. Yes, we've seen plenty of tremors here, but we've never seen a 3.0 earthquake here in Taylorsville before. Here in Morganton, where I live. 5 years ago. 5 years ago, guys. 5 years ago, we saw a 4.5 earthquake hit here in Morganton. That has been the largest earthquake that I have felt here. 1 year ago before I got here. 1 year ago before I got here, there was actually a 5.1 an hour and a half northwest of here in Sparta, North Carolina, up at the top of the Blue Ridge Mountains, up at the top of the Eastern Continental Divide. A 5.1 earthquake hit there. At that time, caused a lot of damage. Come August 7th this year, I will show you pictures of the damage. It will be the 5-year anniversary from that earthquake. I will show you pictures of the damage in Sparta, North Carolina with a 5.1 earthquake. And yes, it's going to happen again. Given all the information I've shown you tonight, between South Carolina and North Carolina, guess what? The Eastern Continental Divide is going to shake again. We don't know where, we don't know when, but it's going to shake again with a large earthquake. It's a fact. It's a fact. Does anybody have any questions about anything we've talked about tonight? This is important information. I wanted to make sure I got through it with you. The Eastern Continental Divide is shaking. The New Madrid Fault north to south is shaking as well. People who live on the New Madrid Fault need to be very wary. Yes, you guys are going to see moderate, and I'm afraid you're going to see a large 5.0 earthquake very soon. A large 5.0 earthquake on the New Madrid Fault very soon. It's coming. The seismic signals are increasing. The seismic waves are increasing, and the number of earthquakes are also increasing. I've shown you the information. Angela, what I think you're hearing are sonic booms from Navy aircraft taking off from your local military air station there. You also have some Air Force aircraft there as well. So I think you heard aircraft taking off. Does anybody have any other questions or anything for me? Demon Catman is putting up our pay information here on the chat. You can go over to our PayPal or Venmo locations and give us donations here. He's giving you that information. That information is scrolling across the bottom of your screen as we talk here. At the bottom of your screen, below that, our address is scrolling across the bottom of your screen, 504 Bethel Road, Box 401, Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code here is 28655. You can send us a letter or a card. Inside that card or letter, wrapped inside your letter with information on how you are preparing for emergencies, you can give us a donation inside that letter. Make sure it's surrounded by paper. Inside the card, you can also insert a donation. People have done it before. I'm hoping it'll happen again. Carol and I appreciate that. We really do. Jeremy Christopher is saying, will the Northeast be affected? Yes. Yes, you'll be affected. I guarantee it. Jeremy, if you haven't seen this program before during the past 3 years, we've seen some 4.0 earthquakes hit in New Jersey. We've seen 5.0 earthquakes hit in Virginia. Yes, 5.0 earthquakes hit in Virginia 5 years ago. Shook the Washington Monument. It shut down the DC Metro trains. It also shut down the passenger trains for Amtrak along the Northeast Corridor. They started up again in operation about a day later, but they had to inspect the train rail lines before it could start up. They had to do some repairs to the Washington Monument. Yes, the Northeast is getting hit by earthquakes. We're seeing minor earthquakes hit in the the Atlantic East Coast. Maryland, Maine, Delaware, Vermont, New Hampshire. You guys just seen minor earthquakes and tremors there, but they're going to get larger as well. As that Atlantic plate expands, as I said, the Atlantic plate is expanding from the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic plate, it's expanding like this. The Atlantic plate is pushing Europe and Africa in an easterly direction. It's pushing Greenland, the United States and Canada and northern Mexico in a southwesterly direction. That is going to increase as the days go on. We're going to see larger earthquakes. We're going to see more and more earthquakes as well. Fact. Jeremy, don't feel sorry. I think you just may have come to this channel before. Not before. I'm glad you came here. Guys, if you've just seen this channel today, please subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to this channel, and right beside the subscription button, there is a bell icon. Click on that little bell icon. That should get you notified when we come on the air. We come on the air mostly sometime after 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Sometimes it's as late as 5 or 6. I don't like to do that. We came on the air after 6 o'clock before. but people wanted us to come back here to about 4 o'clock, so I did. We experimented with it. We found it to be very helpful for a lot of people. Richard Smith is in Nova Scotia. He's saying there have been a few moderate earthquakes on his back door. Yeah, even up in Nova Scotia. Minor tremors, minor earthquakes, small earthquakes, and moderate earthquakes as well. Eastern Seaboard, guys. The entire Eastern Seaboard. It's happening. Linda Covington says, remembering Mineral Virginia? Mineral Virginia is also getting hit. Mineral Virginia is also getting hit. Bunch of tremors. Bunch of tremors. Yes, Mineral Virginia has also seen some minor earthquakes as well. 2.0, 2.9 minor earthquakes. Mineral Virginia. Any other questions, guys? Now, those of you that remembered that we had 2 firefighters killed in northern Idaho this past Sunday. There are no funeral plans available right now, but as soon as those funeral plans come available, I will share them with you. Right now is the end of our program. At the end of our program, we've typically had a spiritual devotional. That's where I'm going right now. I want to ask if you're canceled. Think about yourself if you're canceled. Wendy, B47, thank you for being here. She says sorry she's late. You can go back through the rest of our program here after we get through tonight. But I want to talk about this devotional here. Ask yourself, have I been canceled? If you have not been canceled yet, what exactly are you waiting for? Or maybe the better question is, what are you still afraid of? Before I explain where I'm going with this, let me offer you a metaphor. A story that speaks to the choice we all must eventually face. In the depths of a medieval dungeon, 3 prisoners are shackled to a stone wall awaiting execution. One by one, each man is summoned by the executioner and given 3 choices. The firing squad, hanging, or the black door. The black door is a mystery cloaked in terror. Whispers among the prisoners speak of torture, madness, and horrors worse than death. The executioner approaches the first prisoner, asking, how do you wish to die? Hanging, the man replies without hesitation. The executioner leads him away to the gallows. He returns to the second prisoner. How do you wish to die? The man stiffens. Firing squad. Moments later, the thunder of rifle echoes throughout the dungeon halls. Finally, the executioner faces a third prisoner and asks him, how do you wish to die? The man's eyes dart to the black door. He hesitates. For a moment, he seems ready to choose it. However, fear overtakes a man. He stutters. He stutters, scared. Scared to what he's now going to admit to. Hang me, he says. Hang me, he stammers. The executioner escorts him to the gallows. As the noose is secured around his neck, the executioner asks, any last requests? The prisoner gulps. Yes, before I die, tell me what's behind the black door. The executioner pauses and smiles. Freedom. And with that, he pulls the lever. The moral of this story, often the path we're warned not to take is the very one that leads to freedom. Often the path we are warned to take, not to take, is the very one that leads to freedom. The cancel culture is the black door. The cancel culture is a black door. Most people tremble before it, but everyone knows, I know, who's had the courage to walk through it. Everyone I know has the courage to walk through it, has even emerged to freedom, emerged more free than they ever have been. Over the past 5 years, I've asked dissenting doctors. Yes, we've been through COVID. I've asked dissenting doctors. I've asked scientists. I've asked whistleblowers the same question at the end of my interviews. Do you have any regrets for speaking out? Without hesitation, they all answered no. In fact, the majority of the people that I have described here felt like a spiritual phenomenon happened. For the first time in their lives, they were actually experiencing the kind of freedom that comes only from being in service to truth. Being in service to the truth. I can relate, and some of you can also relate to that. The moment I stopped playing it safe was the moment that I'm consumed by a peace that I'd never known before. Think about that. It was in fact Jesus Christ who said, quote, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." That, brothers and sisters, is not just theology. It is a roadmap to liberation. So I'm going to ask you another question. What are you still afraid of? What are you still afraid of? Are you afraid of losing your job? Afraid of losing customers? Afraid of losing friends? Here's what I have learned from being willing to lose any of that. Yes, I have lost friends. I have lost people that respected me. I have lost family members because I was truthful, because I was able to tell them what I knew was true, because I was willing to lose all of that. That is when fate reveals itself. That is when fate reveals itself. When you are truly in service to people, when you are truly in service to people, to truth, to life itself, something very sacred happens. The benevolent forces of the universe step in. The benevolent forces of the universe step in. I believe that's God. That is a safe way of saying God shows up when you show up. God shows up when you show up. Linda Cummington says, your truth, my truth, or the truth. I'm saying the truth. Not your truth, my truth. It is the truth. When you are telling the truth, when you are doing what you're supposed to do, you're on the safe way. You're on the narrow path that God would have you go. God shows up when you show up. Bad jobs are replaced with good jobs. Misaligned customers are replaced with aligned customers. Shallow friends are replaced by deep friends. This is what happens when you choose the truth over comfort. When you choose the truth over comfort. Jeremy Christopher is here in the chat. He lost his job for sticking up for what's right, not what he was told to do. I've been in that exact same situation. Yes, I have lost jobs before that for that exact same reason. When I told the truth, I was let go. Unfortunately, my employer was bad. One of my last jobs, I stood up for the truth, and I was praised. My police chief tried to fire me, but he got fired as a result of that. When you're not doing what you're supposed to do, there are consequences. When you are doing the things you're supposed to do, there are also consequences, positive consequences. Positive consequences. This is what happens when you choose the truth over comfort. This is what happens beyond the black door. Yes, getting canceled is uncomfortable. Been there, done that. But only for a moment. Stay the course, and the discomfort will pass. In its place will come the quiet power of knowing that you are in service to something far greater than yourself. Because the only life that is worth living is a life lived on purpose. Are you ready? Of course you are. You were born ready. The time is now. The world needs your voice now. The world needs your wisdom now. The world needs your wisdom now. The world needs your uncensored truth now. Now more than ever. Be brave. Get out there and do your business. Do not get canceled. Now, I'd urge you to pass on this message. I did not think of this message, but a person named Mickey Willis did. A father, a filmmaker, Mickey Willis. I'm just passing this on because I thought it was very important. Please remember this. This is God's message to you. God wants you to do the things you need to do. Follow and stay on the straight and narrow path. Now, Linda Covington asked a quick question a few minutes ago. Did they ever find out why the shooter in North Carolina did what he did? No, they have not. No, they have not. There is no motive yet. The investigation is ongoing. The investigation is probably going to take some time. I don't believe we will have any real answers until at least several days from now, maybe months. We don't know. I ask God to bless you. I ask God to be with you every day. You, brothers and sisters, are still with us. I respect and love you very much. I want you to know that. We are here because of you. I'm here because of you. You here show me how much you love me. All of you show that by your attentiveness to this program and your support of this program as well. We appreciate that. Otherwise, I couldn't be here. Now, in closing, tomorrow is the 3rd of July, one day before Independence Day. I ask you to be safe. There are protests that are about to happen, possibly even starting as early as tomorrow. I ask you to be safe. Know what you're doing before you do it. Go where you need to go, but be wary of everybody and everything going on around you. Be safe. Be wary of anything and everything going on around you. Be safe. Okay? I'll have more safety tips tomorrow afternoon when we come back on the air after 4 o'clock. If anything happens tonight, we'll be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available, as well as tomorrow morning. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow afternoon after 4 p.m., Thursday afternoon Eastern Time. God bless you. God be with you until we meet again. Please know that I love you. I care about each one of you. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side.